Hey everybody, just waiting for Scarlett to get out of dance class and gonna bring the Daily Chase from Tommy Tenney today. And today's Daily Chase is titled, God Will Let You Do Things Your Way and Let You Pay for It. When God decided to reveal another facet of his divinity to Abraham and his son Isaac, he did it while taking them through a divine process of preparation we will call relinquishment. This is the process of releasing, yielding, resigning, surrendering, abandoning, waiving, and giving up something completely. There is power in relinquishment, but the process isn't much fun at times. It took Isaac up the slopes of Mount Moriah and left him tied to an altar like a lamb led to the slaughter. He wondered if he would live to see the sunset, and he probably wondered why it happened to him. The whole situation was a result of something he had nothing to do with. Isaac didn't know in advance what role he would play in God's purposes, so all he could do was relinquish himself to the process. Abraham didn't understand what was going on either. God's request that he sacrifice Isaac was totally out of character with the God he had known in the past. All Abraham could do was relinquish his son and trust God. By faith, he must have said, Lord, if I kill Isaac, I know you are able to raise him from the dead. Your word is true, and you promised me you would make a mighty nation out of him. Can you imagine the load Abraham carried up that mountain? Moses could speak to us about relinquishment too. He knew God had called him to deliver the children of Israel, but he wanted to do it his own way. He was wearing the clothing of a prince of Egypt when he went sauntering forth and saw an opportunity. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, and this deliverer decided it was time to rise to the occasion and take things into his own hands. At the end of the story, a man was dead. That is the Egyptian way. Moses was about to learn that God will not use an unwilling servant. If you want something badly enough that God has withheld from you, then God will let you have it. He will not fight you for the relinquishment of your will. If you want to take things in your own hands and do things your own way, God will allow you to do so. He will step back and say, okay, go ahead. The Israelites found out the hard way. In Psalm 106, verses 13 through 15, it says, they soon forgot his works. They did not wait for his counsel, but lusted exceedingly in the wilderness, and tested God in the desert. And he gave them their request, but sent leanness into their soul. Moses' Egyptian way is never what God has in mind. The Bible tells us that Moses looked this way and that way before he murdered the Egyptian. What he failed to do was look up. He wanted to know if men were looking, and evidently he wasn't concerned by the fact that God was watching. God said, okay, Moses, the first thing I have to teach you is where you get your orders. You won't be so interested in audience response then. It matters little if anyone is watching. Moses probably thought he had done a good deed. After all, he had saved an Israelite. Perhaps he even told himself, 1 down, 10 million to go. Then Moses dug a little hole and buried his mistake in the sand. Not too many days passed before God openly exposed the works of Moses' flesh and made it known. Once he stepped out of the will of God, Moses couldn't even keep one Egyptian buried in the sand. When he stepped back into the will of God, however, he was able to bury the entire army of Pharaoh in the bed of the Red Sea. Moses tackled a job doing it one at a time, but he didn't do it in God's time or God's way. God had a better plan, a better time, and a better way. Alrighty, everybody. Hope you're encouraged. That was today's Daily Chase. See you next time.